Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. Y'all, so this reading is talking about you being in the process of respawning. And this respawn is coming after an attempted robbery. Now, the robbery was supposed to take place in your mind. Something about your ability to communicate and collaborate with the ancestors is what sets your mind apart. And so you are being seen as somebody who is in a relationship with the universe. And the connection that you have with the universe, like you may not understand how strong it is, but this is what allows you to connect your inner spirit with the world around you. And so there is never a time when you are not receiving universal guidance. Now, when the robbery was unsuccessful, this is where the collaboration felt like they had to dig a little more. They had to understand, well, what is it that you're tapped into that doesn't allow us to take or to alter or to fracture something about your mind? And so this is the probing. This is like the investigation that a lot of the chosens deal with in their everyday lives. And so believe it or not, this is a rich person problem because of the wealth of your mind. Not everybody is going to be the messenger or the raven. Every mind that a human is carrying is not able to tap in to ancient wisdom and magic. And so you as a being, you are a conduit for the spiritual world. On one side of the realm, we have life. On the other side, we have death. And the bridge that connects the two is who I'm speaking to as the raven. And so recognizing that you could not be stolen from, you could not be exploited, like the information that flows through your mind, it is not found in a book. It is not something that you copied and pasted. This is something that is downloaded to you in real time. And so you're never going to see it anywhere else first. It is coming to your mind at the moment that you need it. Now, the robbery was unsuccessful, but it could have put you in a state. Now, let me just say, I have imprisonment 2 times, right? Like the card literally comes out, it says imprisonment 2 times right on top of each other from different decks. So there were 2 types of prisons that you were put into once this collaboration recognized that they couldn't rob you or they couldn't change the strength of you being this ancestral messenger. And so it's like, well, if we cannot stop them, if we cannot take them, they've discovered everything that they can possibly discover. And so the idea was, well, let's imprison them. And so I have the energy of something being veiled. It's either you're hiding something or somebody else is hiding something. There is a collaboration, and this looks like 3 people. Now, it's coming out as the 3 of Cups. So this could be people who are psychically gifted, but this is a collaboration that is almost watching you privately or separately. Like these are not people that engage. These are not people that make themselves known. So there is a collaboration that wanted to imprison you. The first type of imprisonment comes out in the energy of Shango. And so they were coming after your power. They were coming after your sensuality. And so these people are like, okay, well, first we have to make a prison so that they cannot employ their own power. That was the first prison. Now, the second type of imprisonment was about true love. Something about true love just breaks spells. Think about the Disney movies, the Disney stories, and every time there was a real kiss or a real touch or some type of exchange between truth and love, something nefarious was able to be broken. So you are not supposed to be able to use your own power. And as long as you can be stopped from using your own power, you will be stagnated. You will be almost put on pause, or you'll be taking a break from certain things that you need in order to kind of like power up. All right. And then the next layer of your imprisonment says, listen, there's going to be no friendships. There are no teams. There are no connections, and there are no networks that you are supposed to have access to. Because if you have access to any of those things, you will possibly come across true love. True love is that deep soul connection. And so if there's something that you've been searching for, trust that it's out there. But the layers of prisons that maybe you have been put into energetically, spiritually, sometimes physically, whatever these prisons are, these are supposed to be boxes or cages that don't allow you to use the richness of your own mind. You are dating the universe by way of your ancestors. And so your mind it can't be duplicated. It can't be copied. Nothing about it can be stolen or rewritten. And so those that can't control you sometimes settle for the fact that they can imprison you. And a lot of times this is going to happen in private. So there could be a group of 3 people who appear to be friendly or caring or kind, but they're also probably the same 3 people that are figuring out ways to keep you somehow locked away so that people can't feel you, people can't see you. Now you're going through the process of a respawning. And so this is like that oh shit type of moment, right? They're recognizing that you are going through some type of relief. Y'all remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, y'all, what was the Terminator movies? And remember like the metal guy and how he could totally turn into a pile of liquid metal. And then all of a sudden he would form into a solid again. And so there weren't any bullets. There was like nothing you could do to stop him. That's the energy that you were carrying. And so these people are compromised right now. Like they don't know what to do, right? Because you won't stop respawning. And so they try to rob you and then they watch you. And then once they recognize that whatever they attempted to do was unsuccessful, well, then they're like, okay, well, then we got to move in private. How can we imprison them? How can we stop them from having loving connections? And so right now, the way you're respawning is looking like the Phoenix rising. It is looking like you moving through levels of self-care. And so you may be exercising, you may be practicing mindfulness, and you may be figuring out how to balance your lifestyle. But you are in an alliance with self. And so here's the thing. These people thought that if they could put you in a certain type of relationship, this relationship would almost become like your handler. And so if you're a puppet like Pinocchio, certain relationships are going to be sent towards you, and that relationship is going to keep you from getting sturdy. Like the stronger you are, the harder it is for you to be controlled. And so you having a strong foundation is going to be the key for any type of success. And so sometimes when you start to feel uncertain, when you're not really sure that what you're building is solid and you don't really have any long-term stability, that can be handled or happening by way of people that you are relating to. These people are specifically supposed to keep you in some type of imprisonment. As long as you are trapped with false lovers and false people, the way we resonate and the way we vibrate our frequency is not going to be one that calls in true love. And so, y'all, you released yourself from 2 prisons. But the thing is that they thought that you would use your power. Like they thought that the enemies that you would become victorious over, they thought that your power was going to come from your sensuality. And so they thought that it was literally going to be through loving relationships and intimacy. And so they're like, fine, the only way we block them is true love. We make sure that no genuine people ever are going to cross their path. And y'all, so they do block you. They do keep those relationships out. And so even without loving relationships, you still began to respawn almost as the Phoenix rising. And so this group of people, they have been attempting to compromise you at every single turn. And again, you start over, you go through the rebirth, you reinvent yourself, you rise. And they finally recognize it has nothing to do with an earthly relationship that we keep them away from. They are actually in a collaboration with their ancestors. Y'all, they can't stop their ancestors, your ancestors, from speaking to you or through you. These people cannot control the level of ancient wisdom that is seated in your mind. Nobody on earth can control what the spirit world deposits in you. And so these prisons that they continue to create, that come after your power, they come after wounding your heart chakra, none of it is enough because you are in a connection with the universe. Now, you were shown as kind of persevering, breaking out of something. You made a wish, you manifested this into reality, but you did it by yourself. You didn't necessarily need anyone to be a part of this. And so right now, your own universe, your own world is moving back into balance. You're in harmony again. And so if you have been feeling out of sync, you're almost going through this period of adjustment. right? And so a lot of the way you spend your time, a lot of the way you spend your energy, it needs to look like self-care so that you can be healthy and almost maintain your equilibrium. And so being disappointed, feeling dull, feeling like life has just isolated and kicked you out, your self-love is what hacked whatever that curse or spell of imprisonment was. Y'all, they swore somebody from the outside was going to free you, and you freed yourself, and you probably didn't even do much in the physical world. Like you almost sat still, but the quality of your thoughts changed. And so you persevered over whatever this was. You've been released. You've lived and learned. But the thing that you lived and learned is about heartbreak, betrayal, grief, and sadness. And so if you don't have an enemy on the inside, you don't have an enemy on the outside. And so one of the ways that these prisons were constructed, it was really based on past pain or trauma, right? And so when you have the ability to love yourself whole, you are almost going to be released from anything that was able to keep you caged. Like pain keeps you caged, but when you no longer feel pain, it is almost like the prison gates unlocked. And that is what you did, one thought at a time. And your thoughts had to reflect mindfulness. You had to be balanced in your movement, balanced in your eating, balanced in who you allow in your life and who you have to separate yourself from. Right? But you broke out of prison and you didn't even have to move. Every way that you were able to accomplish this literally happened in your mind. Y'all, so that's what this reading is saying. Now, I wanted to go a little deeper. And this is honestly about manifesting. When you make a wish, it is because the reality that you are living in, you don't really like it and you want to live somewhere else. And so you make a wish, you have a dream, and you want it to become a reality. And so in order to better understand this, I thought of a grocery store and how the same way that we have a reality where we are lacking ingredients in our pantry, we create a list. And then once we create the list, we use that list to guide us so that we can go shopping. And so a grocery store is very much like the universe. Okay. And so I want you to think of writing a grocery list. When you're writing out your grocery list, you never really write, I wish I had eggs. I wish I had milk. Like nobody writes I wish before listing each item on their grocery list. And so you don't wish the items because you understand that you are absolutely in control of manifesting an alternate reality where once again, you will have those items in your possession. The way you communicate and work with the universe is the very same way. When you write something, you don't say, I wish I had stability or I wish I had a car. No, you write as if you have already received it, right? So our list will say eggs, milk, cheese, like there's no question. We need this, we will get it. And so yours would say, I love my car, right? The stability that I'm experiencing, it feels so good to me. And so when you begin to write a list and manifest, this is essentially what you did in prison in order to change your situation. You just changed the style about how you place orders. And this is how they were able to understand how tapped in you really were. And so when you begin to run out of ingredients, when your life is starting to lose the things that you would really like, that means that you are standing in one reality. And in one reality, you're losing shit. And you're like, oh no, I got to write a list. Like I need some things, right? So you pull out the pen, you pull out the paper, you pull out the sales ad. And when you are writing that list, it is almost like that is when you were in the void. You were in between reality one, where you don't have all your ingredients. You're in the void. You're building and establishing the process so that you can get to reality two when you're at the grocery store, putting everything you need right back in your cart. And so shopping at the grocery store to fulfill the needs on your grocery list, that is essentially you dreaming, you having this wish, and then you manifesting it. Grocery shopping and manifesting are synonymous. On your way to the grocery store, one of the worst things that you can think is that the grocery store is not going to be well stocked. Can you just look at what this universe has been created to provide us with? And so when we're manifesting or writing a wish or speaking or feeling something into our reality, we never want to think that the universe is not well stocked enough in order to provide it to us, right? So another thing is that we have to have a positive outlook. When you're thinking about going grocery shopping, Imagine if you're like, God, the parking spaces, I'm not going to have any parking space that's close. The other shoppers are going to be extremely temperamental, right? The checkout lines are going to be long. And as soon as I get to the checkout line to get everything I need, I bet you one of the packages that are on that little conveyor belt is going to be open. And then I'm probably going to have to run all the way. So like, first we have to believe that when I write this list, it's because I'm about to get it. Then we need to believe that the grocery store or the universe that I'm getting this stuff from is never going to run out. Step 3 is you got to be positive about the process. To be in the void between one reality and the next, and to be negative, you know how I envision this? Imagine if you put a tumbler, just a cup, into like a toddler's hand, and you have them hold it in the air so that you pour juice in it. I want you to think about that experience. They would be moving, they would be shaking. You'd never really be able to pour a steady flow into their cup. Y'all, when we're complaining and we're not positive, that's like the universe trying to pour juice in our cup, and they can't catch a flow. Everything is spilling, but it's because of our energy. You know, it's because we're moving all around. We're not stable in an energy. Like, we want to have a close parking spot. We want the other shoppers to be polite. And so if that's what you really want, you keep your cup steady and you only think about what you want. You don't start to think about the things that you don't want to experience, because that's like you moving around. The universe is like, yo, I'm trying to give you the very thing that you want, but keep your cup still. Stay balanced in your positivity. Stay balanced in your outlook. Don't ask for one thing and then see another, right? And then we have this energy of gratitude. Every time you say thank you with your mouth, every time you feel thank you in your heart, that is a piece of life force that is being put in a future spending account towards your manifestations, your dreams, and your realities. Every moment you feel gratitude, you are taking life force and being like, I'm going to use this later. I'm going to use this later. And you literally build up an energetic power source or power bank, all from just being grateful, all from recognizing the ways in which you can be thankful for the present. Now, the next part of manifesting asks that you tap into your subconscious. So, you know, sometimes you get all your groceries together, you did your shopping, and now you got to make a meal. So the way you tap into your subconscious when you're trying to manifest, it is almost like right before you going to bed, you finding the recipe that you want to cook tomorrow. And so you just spend a couple minutes on Pinterest and you're looking for the recipe. You're thinking about how it's going to smell, thinking about how it's going to taste, right? And you have just prepared your mind, body, and senses for tomorrow's meal. So right before you go to bed, this is what you should do in order to tap into your subconscious. Ask yourself, what is it that I have a taste for? Like in my life, what is it that I want to taste? What is a recipe that I would like to experience in one of my tomorrows? So you make your wish, you say your mantra. For instance, let's say you want to attract romance, okay? So you focus on the word romance and you're like, well, how do I want to feel in this relationships? And for 5 minutes before you go to sleep, you need to feel and focus as if you are already living in that romantic experience. You pick out the recipe that you want to have in your tomorrow, and then you experience it. It feels like spooning. It feels like cuddling. It feels like, you know, like you really live in the type of romance. That's essentially you picking out a recipe for a reality at a later time. So yeah, I hope that this end version kind of works. But yes, what I just described to you about grocery store manifestations is essentially what you did to get out of prison. You may have sat in the same spot, you may have sat in the same circumstance, but something about your mind, something about the way you spoke to yourself, and just the fact that you can do this with your mind and change your life reveals the fact that you have rich people problems, but you don't know it because the probing is so intense. But I'm telling you, it's intense because of the strength of your mind, your psychic ability, abilities, your intuition, your connection with the universe is stronger than you know. And so oftentimes we are led to feel like we have been victimized because we really have been. But if you really ask yourself why, I'm telling you, it is happening in between your two ears. What your mind can do, many people cannot. And so when your life feels picked apart or set apart for reasons that are always not pure, I want you to recognize why. You are your ancestors' messenger. You are the conduit between the worlds. You are the bridge between life and death. And so you are carrying a mantle, and those around you that can't really control that you've been given this power, they have to find ways to suppress you. But this reading says that you have been released from whatever the prison was that they used to trap you in. And it was because you started to manifest almost as if you were shopping at a grocery store. Okay? And that is the strength of your connection with the universe. When you're dating the universe, there's nobody that's wealthier than you are. The universe is always stocked and listening and ready to pour, to bring you some type of overflow. All right, y'all. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.